All right, so we're starting a unit on percents. Topic 4, block 1, applications of percents. So let's first of all, let's define what a percent is. Okay, now percent is a rate that expresses, it takes me a while to type, just so you know, a quantity. Oh, good, I even typed it right. Quantity compared to 100. Okay, so percent, oh, look at that. I didn't spell it right. There we go. Percent literally means out of 100. Okay. Because, you know, there are 100 cents in a dollar. There were 100 centurions in a Roman military unit. There's 100 years in a century. There are 100 centimeters in a meter. And so, you know, the the prefix cent has to do with 100. And of course, we always use the hold on a second here. And we always use the percent symbol when we're talking about percents, right? The percent symbol. So 97% would mean 99 out of 100. 88% would mean 88 out of 100. Now, of course, you don't always have 100 of something. So that's why percentages work out really, really cool, because you can talk about percent saying if there were 100, this is what it would be. And so everybody begins to understand what percent really means. So let's take a look at question 2 here. It says the sporting goods store is having a sale on clothing. Each type of jersey has a different discount. One jersey, the light blue jersey that this kid is holding up here, is $50 with 40% off. And one is $45 with 20% off. And the boys want to know which jersey is the least expensive and how can they use percents to figure it out. Well, so there are a couple of different ways to look at this. One way, let's talk about this first kid here, right? He's got a jersey that's $50, right? $50. Now, if we take that $50, to take 40% off of that, we have to understand what 40% off means, or even what 40% means. So let's talk about 40%. 40% means 40 out of 100. And we can simplify that down if we wanted to. Let's see, that would be 4/10. Now, of course, I'm going to skip out here. Of course, 4/10 could also be written as 0.4, right? Because that's 4/10. But we could also simplify 4/10. There's by dividing both of these by 2. And so it would actually be super simplified down to 2/5. But you can see how we took the percent. What it means is 40 out of 100. We simplify that fraction, and then we can convert it to a decimal. Now, when we say $50 with 40% off, well, first of all, the first thing we have to do is multiply 50 times 40%. But we can't just multiply it by 40 because it doesn't work that way. So we have to multiply it by the decimal representation, which would be 0.4. So 50 times 0.4 is 20. All right, so that's going to be $20. So 50 times 40% is $20. Now, remember, that's $20 off, right? So if we take that $20 off, that's 50 minus 20. And that would give us 30. Okay. And okay. So that tells us that the sale price of that light blue jersey is going to be $30 because we took $20 off because we were taking 40% off. Now, there's another way to look at this, and let's think about this a moment. And I'm gonna have to go down here. The other person is holding up a jersey that is 20% off the $45. Now let's look at this as a different sort of strategy. All right, we're going to take that $45, right? And I'm running way down the page here, but let's think about this. If we take 20% off out of the 100%, 20% from 100% is 80%, right? Because that's what we're left with. So what we are actually finding here is we're going to find if you're taking 20% off, you are paying 80% of the price, right? If you're paying full price, you're paying 100%. But if you take 20% off, so 20% off means 80%, right? Does that make sense? 100 minus that 20% is 80%. So if I take that $45 and I multiply that times 80%, which would be 0.8, right? I could go through that whole process like we did with the 40. 80% would be 80 out of 100, which would be 8/10, which would be what, 4/5, which would be 0.8. But anyway, 45 multiplied by 0.8 is $36. So the dark blue jersey ends up being $36. And the light blue jersey was $30. So we figured out which one is least expensive by using percents. And we did it in a couple of different ways. And we'll talk more about these other these methods as we move on through the percentage unit. It's all good. Now let's take a look at the next question. I don't see any question marks in the chat, so I think we're okay. Haley finds a pair of shoes that she likes, but she has only $60 to spend. She wants to know if she can afford them. How can she find the sale price? Well, it says take an additional 20% off the lowest price. And I don't know if you can see that lowest price, but it says it's $85. So that price is $85. So we're going to take 20% off $85. So if we're taking 20% off, that means that we are paying 80%. So $85 multiplied by the 80% that we are keeping. And remember, you can't multiply by 80 because that's a percent, and you have to use the decimal version. 85 times 0.8 is $68. So will she be able to afford those shoes? It's not looking good. She only has the $60, right? Now, if we did it, let's say if we did it a different way, that 85, now remember 85, we're going to multiply that times 20%. That's $17, right? So 85, 85 multiplied by the 20%, which would be 0.2, that's 20%. And we'll talk more about this later. That makes $17. But we have to subtract that from the 85. So the 85 minus the 17, that still gets us the 68. Either way, whatever works best for you, whichever way makes you happiest, that's what you should stick with. But anyway, I'm just showing you both ways. So it's going to be $68 either way. Does she have the 68? Nope, she only has 60. So she better put those shoes back. Now, question number 4. Haley's points versus the points possible for an assignment or for all these assignments that she's given. So if we add up all of these points here, Haley's total points, well, she had 6 out of 10, 50 out of 60, 95 out of 100, 67 out of 75, and 3 out of 5. Now, if her teacher is grading everything based on just points, well, she has a total of, and you're probably way ahead of me already, her total points, she has 221. Now, how many points possible were there? If you add up the 10 and the 60 and the 100 and the 75 and the 5, how many points possible is that? Well, that's 250. Now, of course, your grades are based on, especially in middle school, your grades are based on percentages. So Haley's total points is 221. The total points possible was 250. Now, we could set this up as a proportion and say, well, then, so what is her percent out of 100? All right, well, one way we could do that is to, well, how do we take 250 and make it 100? Well, we would have to divide, right? We'd have to divide or multiply by something smaller to make it into 100. So let's find that out. We would take 100, and this is, using proportions, right? We're going to take that 100, we're going to divide by 250, and that's going to be 0.4. So we would take 250 and multiply it by 0.4, because when we do that, that'll make 100. But what is 221 times 0.4? Well, 88.4 is her percent. Now, there is another way that you can do that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the future as we move on through this. But what we did is we just set it up as a proportion. We figured out by what scale factor we would have to multiply 250 to change it to 100. And we found that out by dividing the 100 by 250. That's what gave us the 0.4. And then we multiplied both of those by that, and that's how I ended up with the 88.4%. So she's got a B+. Not bad. I can see that we are out of time. So